Hey guys, welcome back. We are here. I am Frank.
And I'm LC.
And this is
Live or Die.
So today, I'm going to start with asking you how you doing.
Well, thank you, Franklin, for asking. I am doing wonderful.
Okay, that's it.
No, I got to share,
okay.
that I don't know what I was going to share. You
Exactly.
distracted me. I turned 35 this year. I think that's what I wanted everyone to know because I'm really thrilled about that.
35?
35 is wonderful.
40? It is what it is.
I've got 5 more years. So that means
You
I
were
have
born in
5 more years.
1984.
What? No, I wasn't.
Yes, you
I'm a
were.
1989 baby. And the 80s, the greatest decade that ever
You
existed.
weren't in the 80s.
I came at the end of it. Birthed greatness.
So from
the 80s
0
birthed
to
greatness
1.
is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
The 80s birthed greatness, and I am greatness.
Yeah, I'll see this.
He just hates because he was born in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm the real OG. Sorry.
That's cute.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess how you doing?
I'm all right.
Are you?
Doing good.
Mhm.
Happy living my life.
I love that for you.
Yeah, you see how short that was? And easy?
Well, I'm sorry, ain't no nothing exciting happened to you.
I didn't turn 40.
Neither did I.
So what are we doing today?
So today we're going to talk about a franchise that actually brought us together.
It did. It
Isn't
was
that crazy?
Our first date.
Our very first date was to see.
Oh, wait, no. It was our second date.
Oops.
It's fine. It was still a date.
It was a crazy date, too. Do we have time to tell that story?
Which one? The one where you abandoned me or?
Not that one.
Okay, no. We can
No.
tell.
The date. So we went to see Saw 3D, and it was supposed to be a date. And I was, excited because, like, a date. And we were still rather new in the dating. We had only done, like, a few dates up until this point.
I think maybe just the one. Like,
Yeah.
solo. It
And
wasn't
so-
even solo. Continue.
Yes.
I'll get into this.
So we were going on this date to see Saw 3D, and we made a huge thing about it. We're like, we're going to go eat at the Hard Rock Cafe first.
Mhm.
And then after that, we'll go to the movie. And then, we'll see. Well, who knows what's going to happen after that? We grown.
Uh-huh.
So I go to the spot where we're supposed to meet for our date. And this man shows up with another person. He brought another girl
to be fair,
on our date.
First
We
date,
ain't talking about
she
that.
brought another
We ain't
man.
talking
So,
about
and
that.
then left me at 2:00 in the morning.
We were not dating at that time, though.
We
At
were.
No, we were not.
That
we
was
were
a date.
interested in each other. I
Okay.
didn't know it was a date. I didn't know that
I didn't
very.
know this was a date.
You knew this was a date. We were dating
It is
at
what
this
it
point
is.
in time. So he brings this girl with us on the date, and so we're sitting at the Hard Rock Cafe, and they're just chatting it up, living their best lives. And the whole point, I'm just sitting there like, what kind of date is this? There's another person. So I was like, you know what? We're here. I have to make the best of it. So I start hee-hee-ha-haing with everyone on the date. Then we're walking to the movie, and she sits in the middle of us. I don't want to sit next to her.
I don't remember this happening.
She sat in the middle, and like the whole time, Frank just act like he's just an oblivious idiot.
To be
Just
fair, I was
smiling and
20 years
enjoying
old.
himself.
I was 20. I was a child.
A
I
child.
was a child.
You were old enough to know that a date is between two people.
So were you.
Okay, in my defense,
See how
the date,
she's
the
justified.
date that he keeps talking about, I was just liking him at that point, and he was liking me. The date that I'm talking about, there was an established
but
relationship.
I invited you to go with me by yourself.
I didn't know if it was a date. Okay, so I have to give you guys a little tea so I don't sound crazy.
She's crazy.
I did not go on any dates until Frank. I did not
that
kiss
doesn't sound
anyone.
crazy.
I did nothing until Frank. So I had no idea at the ripe old age of 20.
You were older.
I was 21.
You were 22.
I was 21.
You're 2 years older than I am.
I'm 1 year older than
Nah,
you.
girl.
Frank, you were born in 1990. I was born
I
in
was born almost at
1989.
the end of 1990.
Oh, you are just crazy.
How old are you right now?
Anyway, I just told y'all I'm 35.
And I'm 33. Move along.
The middle.
Move along.
The middle. So he's a year and a half younger than me. But so I had no idea like if this was a date or not. And I remember I even went to ask my dad, like, Dad, he asked me to the movies. Do you think this is a date? What did he say? I said, he just said, can we go to the movies? Okay, well, you need to call him and ask him, is this a date?
I'm here with Larry. Like, why didn't you just clarify?
What the hell? Who calls and says, hey, is this a date?
Oh, you didn't have to do that. You could have just been like, hey, are we bringing anybody else or is it just us? Done.
Anyway, so back to the movie. we are going to talk about the franchise that kind of started it all for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to let you take it.
So we're talking about Saw and the legacy of Jigsaw, right? So now it's been, I think, a little over a decade. We have 10 movies, a very convoluted storyline that if you don't watch all of them, you don't know what's going on.
Yes.
Kind of deal. So we're going to dive into the first 5 for this episode, and I think have a good time with it.
We're going to have a great time with it because some of my favorites take place in this first 5.
I feel like you don't really care for anything after 4 or 5.
Not care for is a strong way of saying it. It's not so much that I don't care for it. It's just I'm the kind of person that when I get involved in a movie, especially a franchise, and I get used to those characters, like I love them. And so they started disappearing.
Who did you love?
Who did I love?
That was disappearing.
Okay, I know he's the bad guy, but I really loved Hoffman, and I feel like
you realize Hoffman was in.
But
3
I feel like
through
he's.
7.
I feel like his character transformation though went a way I didn't want it to go.
Mm-hmm. That's because they got lazy, but we'll get there. that's 6 through 10.
But I also, I mean, there were a lot of people. Amanda, I liked her.
Did you?
I liked her until 3.
She's the kind of character that I think you understand.
Yes.
Why they're doing what they're doing, because a lot of times in horror movies, there's a lot of throwaway characters, right?
Yeah.
It's just come in, get killed, go out, come in, give them you're all doomed, and then they're gone. But with her, as the movies progressed, the character motivation got more and more complicated.
Absolutely.
And it made her seem like a real person.
Yes, but I got a thought while you were talking, so I'm gonna, do one of my my famous tangents.
Mm-hmm.
What you said about, there's a lot of throwaway characters. I think that's something that's so great about this franchise is that you need the throwaway characters. And so they're explained. So it's not like, this person is just in the movie to die. It's like there's a reason for them being there. And it's okay. You when it's a group in the trap, there's always that first person that just like falls out and dies.
Who's useless, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, but you're not bothered by it like, they were just there to be killed. It's like, well, someone has to go.
Yeah.
And it's you.
But I mean, they're still throwaway.
But it's okay.
But they usually, the one who usually dies first offers very, very little to the overall story.
Absolutely.
So.
Can we talk about this too?
Throwaway.
How there's always like one angry man in the group.
Yeah, because it was Adam in the first one. It was Frankie G in the second one.
I love Frankie G.
Yeah, man. There were choices, man.
I was legit rooting for him. Like, why do I root for the bad guys? He wanted to live.
So he had to do terrible things?
I think.
All he had to do was do his own trap, and then he threw someone else in it. But you rooted for that man.
I rooted for the person who wanted to live.
They all wanted to live. What do you mean?
I mean, he wanted it the most.
So he was going to kill a teenager.
I mean, yeah, when you say it like that, it does sound crazy.
Terrible.
But, as a viewer, when I was watching it the first time, I understood his anger because you kind of have to put yourself into, like, what would you do if you're in this trap? I always find it interesting, the people who come together as friends, because, like, I don't want to be y'all's friend. Like, I want to get out of this.
Yeah, but the whole thing about 2 was had they worked as a group, they all would have survived.
I loved that twist because it's like, all y'all had to do was come together and have an actual conversation.
Yeah, but
and you couldn't even do that.
People can't think clearly in stressful situations.
Hence Frankie G. He was not thinking clearly. He was trying to survive. And I guess that resonated with me. Versus
because you act crazy in situations.
You know what? I hated Amanda in that one. I'm going back to it now. No, I hated her. I remember thinking, what the hell is she talking about when she's like, he wants to help you. Whatever she said.
Okay.
I'm like, girl, what?
Okay.
What do you mean?
We'll dive into the first 5 individually.
So do you want to start with 1?
We can. Before we do that, out of the first 5, which one would you get rid of?
Ooh.
Not change anything else, just that movie doesn't exist.
Oh my gosh. Out of the first 5. That's a tricky question. So I'm going to preface it with, I would not get rid of this one, but out of the 5, I like this one the least, and it's not saying I don't like it. I just like it the least, and it's number one just because not a lot. It's the setup, so you can't get rid of it. But I just feel like compared to the later films, not a lot happens. I mean, it's still a fantastic twist, and if I didn't have the other ones to compare it to, it would be like one of my favorite films of all
But that's
time.
the one that like started everything.
Exactly, and I remember
So why would
watching
you-
that one. I said it was my one that I liked the least, not the one I would get rid of. I would get rid of 4.
I would get rid of 5
I knew you were going to say 5.
because nothing happens in that movie that progresses the overall story. Literally nothing.
I guess. I don't know. 4 just didn't resonate with me like the rest for some reason. I think I accepted 5 for what it was, but 4, I don't know, coming off of 3, I think it didn't meet
so
what I wanted.
First off, if it were a perfect world, it would be 1 through 3 and nothing else.
Agreed.
As much as I like some of the other sequels, I think the trilogy rounded everything out. Like if you take that little ending like stinger clip of like he's like, "Where's your daughter?" and it would be perfect.
I agree.
As a trilogy. It was very, very, very good. But Saw 1. Who's in it?
What do you mean? Who's in it?
Who are the 2 actors?
Oh, Lee Winnell
Yep.
is one of them. And I can't remember the name. Why would you put me on the spot?
Carrie Ewells.
Okay, thank you.
If I'm saying his last name right, my apologies. But so those 2, James Wan, Lee Winnell, wrote and directed, created this whole thing. Obviously, James Wan is huge now. Insidious, Conjuring, etc., etc. He kind of found his niche after Dead Silence.
Also love that one.
I don't.
We should just do a James Wan episode in the future.
They're very repetitive after a while. I said what I said.
Somebody be just hating, just wake up to hate.
Okay.
Wake up and choose hateration, holleration.
Okay, Mary J. Calm down. But no, that one started it all. I remember I was 15 working at Target
When you saw the first one?
when I bought the DVD.
Okay.
Because I didn't see it in theaters.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what it was. And then I remember I let my parents watch it, and then they wouldn't give it back. They're like, "You can't watch this. It's too much." I was like, "But I bought it. Like, it's mine." So I watched it, and I remember kind of going through. There were some really, I think that one more so than any of them, had a lot of good, really tense, kind of scary scenes, especially when Lee Winnell's character is trying to find out who's in his apartment, and he gets got. Like, that scene was really good. Like, where he's using his camera as a light, so the flash gives you a few seconds, and then boom, there's the pig mask. And I think that was the first time we really got a good glimpse of that mask.
Yes, I agree. And it's so funny. I know you said you found it in, you said Best Buy or Target?
Target.
At 15,
They fired me. I'm just saying, thanks, Target.
Fired him for life.
Forever. I can never work there again. And what did I do? Nothing.
Anyway, I also saw it at 15, but someone, I won't say who,
Say who?
provided us a bootleg copy
Okay. The man in the parking lot. Mm-hmm.
at the Food for Less.
Yep.
But anyway, my parents were having a party. They used to do these parties, and we had just moved to LA, and I had no friends.
They do great parties.
They do fantastic parties, by the way. My parents, amazing parties. But I didn't know anyone. And Kiki had all these friends from American Juniors and that she had met acting. And then their friends happened to have younger siblings.
Okay.
So the twins had people over and Kiki had people over. And I was just like chilling in my parents' room, bored. And my dad comes in and he's like, "Yeah, you know, people at my job have been talking about this movie. You should watch it." And I was like, "Okay, I ain't got nothing else to do." So I put this bootleg, it was one of those great quality bootlegs where you watch it and at the bottom of the screen it says, this is a screener.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this fantastic bootleg of this movie. And I just remember when it got to the end, I remember my mouth was just on the floor. I was like, "Are you serious right now?"
I don't think any of them ever
got me like that again.
got like that. But I think it's because that became the staple. And it was like, okay, there's a twist coming. So the whole time you're trying to figure out what it is. And so it's when you're expecting it, I feel like even if you don't know what the twist is, you're still
you
like,
know a twist
oh,
is
okay,
happening.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it now. How shocked I was when he had the audacity to stand up. The key to that lock is in that tub. And then they did like the little. Can we talk about the editing?
Kevin Greutert,
Oh my gosh.
fantastic editor.
some of the best editing I have ever seen. When you
he created Saw, right? Like James and Lee wrote, direct, whatever, but like really that final rewrite in the editing room, the style that he chose, everything that created the basis for a super like
amazing.
one of if not the most successful horror franchise.
I mean, just the way it's edited, to me, it feels like what's happening in your mind as you're putting the connections together. You're like, what? And then you're like, dun, 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 dun.
The Zepp theme.
And it's just like, what?
Yeah.
What did I just witness?
It was intense, for sure.
It was fantastic.
But it was balanced. It wasn't like the traps that we were getting weren't overly extravagant.
Exactly. It was believable.
It was believable because like the guy that he put in the barbed wire, the one that was cutting himself. So like putting someone in just a cage of barbed wire and saying crawl to the other side, like it's doable.
Yeah, some of these traps later, I'm like, no, who got access to this? Because didn't nobody see y'all building this,
right?
This extravagant machine.
We're looking at
in the display room.
It's terrible.
I was just okay. So, what was your favorite trap then, from 1 through 5?
Ooh. That's a good one. I'm thinking the hair pull trap from 4. There's just something about someone's ponytail just getting pulled until their scalp comes off.
Just gives you chills,
yeah,
eh?
That one, but the one like watching that I got the most uncomfortable was obviously the needle pit from 2.
He really hates the needle pit, and maybe it's just because needles don't really bother me.
They don't bother me either, but that's a lot of dirty needles. Like they're all used and bloody, and there's thousands of them, and you have to crawl through them. There's no way not to get poked.
I mean, yes.
Now you've left with something.
I mean, okay.
You may be alive, but you got a disease. So great. Love that for me.
No, okay, so it's just so funny to me. Of all the traps, anytime we watch these movies, that one he's always like looking away. And I'm like, so
I don't look away
you
ever.
You can watch the ponytail get pulled off.
I can watch the ponytail.
But you can't watch the needles.
I can watch all the scenes in Saltburn. Like, no problems of any kind. Yes.
So the traps, there's 2 that
I already know one of yours. Well, I know which one's your favorite.
Which one?
The rack.
That is one of the ones I was going to say.
So that's
oh my gosh. Ooh.
That's the one in Saw 3 where Timothy, that's the character's name, he's like in his little thing and all of his limbs get twisted around and then his head at the end.
Oh, that actor was just, when he feels the head starting to move, his face, like I felt his fear. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Because that shit could really kill them. Like the way that they built it and everything, if something went wrong, they could get hurt. So I would be scared.
I don't know. That one to me. Like, we took my mom to the theaters to see Saw 3. And
why would you do that to Sharon?
She thought it was going to be a nice daughters out thing. And the way she was horrified in that movie when we left, she was like, why'd y'all take me to see this? Right. But so, yes, the rack is like the one that bothered me so intensely, but nothing bothers me more than the opening of Saw 2.
The Venus flytrap?
Oh, no, Saw 2.
Honey, I gave you the opening of 2.
Oh, not honey. Don't honey me because I'm getting confused. That's not the one with the eye? I'm pretty sure it's the one with the eye.
Yeah, but it's the Venus flytrap. The key is behind his eye, and then when he doesn't get it, the trap
closes. See, I'm just thinking about the eye. I don't care about the Venus part.
You got a thing with eyes, though.
So exactly. So his face being ripped off, that's not what bothered me. The thing
that ripped off, it was smushed.
The thing that bothered me,
you know these movies,
was that he had to get the hell away from me. Was that for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, there's a key hidden behind his eyeball, and he has to scalpel it out.
But it's not that hard
to get the key.
If you stay calm and cut at the bottom of your eyelid and go under the eye, like where the key is sitting.
This poor man.
I say that like I would just be like, whoop.
Exactly. He's like trying to psych himself up for it, and you can see him because he's like, whoop. Okay, let's come back. Woo. Okay, no. Not yet. And then he just resigns to the fact that he's going to die. And that would be me.
He didn't want to live.
I would be like, well,
bye, y'all.
It's been real.
No.
Because I have a thing with eyes. I cannot do eyes. And so just knowing, like if it was a situation where there's this machine that's going to rip your eye out. Okay, you rip the eye out and I'll live. I can't do it myself.
You can't even put contacts in.
Exactly. So it's like I can't do anything. Like even getting like eyeliner on my eyes is a struggle. Yeah, Frank
Just
does my
stuff
eyeliner. I don't know if
everywhere.
anyone knew. He didn't do it today,
No,
but he does my eyeliner because it's such a struggle.
no, the amazing Francesca did your stuff today.
Period.
Boom pow.
Mm-hmm.
So timeline.
Timeline.
It's a tricky one with this franchise.
Yes.
So we're talking about 1 through 5, but I'm just going to kind of generally lay out
You have
the
to.
timeline as a whole.
Yes.
So Jigsaw, which is technically 8, is half of the movie is before Saw 1.
Yes.
It's like the first game, supposed to be. There's some problems there. We'll talk about that. And then from there, we go into Saw 1, and that's Dr. Gordon, and then whatever Lee Winnell's character's name was. What was it? Adam, right?
It was Adam.
Okay, yeah, so Adam. And then into 2, it kind of, there's a little bit of a gap between 1 and 2, and that's where 10 takes place.
Yes.
And apparently 11 will take place after 10, before 2.
Yes.
That's what's happening now. Once we get, there's a little bit of a time gap between the 2, which is fine. Obviously, you can tell where you're at in the timeline depending on which wig Shawnee Smith is wearing.
Get away from me.
It's very true, though. That was because, I watched...
I hate her hair, too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
It was not it.
People didn't like 10 either. But it's where she's at in the timeline. It's after she saved herself, she became an apprentice, and then to kind of like cleanse herself and start over, she cuts all of her hair off. So depending on
And
where
had
we're
to spike
at,
it up like that?
look, it was the early 2000s.
I didn't see nobody walking around like that.
Okay. But by 3, she had nice
I
long
saw
hair.
her in the airport around that time, too, and I remember being so excited.
Wow.
I didn't say anything to
Of course
her.
you didn't.
But I was just
You remember that time that we saw Robin's show at the Denny's?
Y'all, we were so excited because we're such huge Mortal Kombat fans, and we saw Liu Kang coming out the Denny's.
I've worked a lot of events. I've seen a lot of celebrities, met a lot of celebrities.
That was the most
That was
excited
the
for him.
only time that I ever like froze.
We couldn't even say nothing.
We couldn't say anything. I was just like, it's Liu Kang.
Stared at him
Yeah.
as he walked.
As he walked by.
Thank
It
God
was
he
like
didn't look
so
over at us.
uncomfortable because like he's walking and we're just like, just watching this poor man.
And we're like, then once he leaves, we're like, it's Liu Kang.
Yeah. It was a mess.
It was embarrassing on our part.
Very.
We should have said something.
It's fine. We have the memory.
Yeah.
It's all
Of
good.
staring at him
Yes.
as his perfect hair flowed.
It was,
in the wind.
he had a ponytail.
No, he had his little bangs out.
Nah, girl.
Yeah, his bangs
He had
were
his
out.
long hair that he did in Street Fighter Chun-Li.
Frank, some bangs was out at the top.
It seems to be a theme, apparently, bangs.
I would be rude today, but it's the year of our Lord, 2024. So I won't.
It's fine.
But no, I could be.
Okay, we're prepared. So Saw 3, like I said, good finisher for the trilogy. Left a little stinger at the end,
Yes.
right? And then Saw 4 comes along. We kind of get a resolution to that stinger. But as we progress through that movie, we find out that 4 runs concurrent with 3.
Yes.
So everything's happening kind of at the same time. And then when we get to 5, it picks up right after 4, which is great, right? It's just like one right after the other. You can literally just roll into them, and it's like watching one big movie.
So the timeline, first of all, I want to, even though you're a hater, kudos for being able to share that timeline like that. Because I personally, no matter how many times I see these movies, anytime I talk about it, I'm like, is this 5? Did this happen in 5? Which is the one with Megan Good? Like,
Yeah, that's 5. No, I know stuff.
Because things jump around.
Saw was like my obsession for a good minute.
Oh, I remember.
And because, like I pick one thing and I hyper focus on
He
it.
gets obsessed.
It's the ADHD. ADHD. But
he was obsessed, yeah.
like deep obsession. So I can tell you like timeline wise, okay, it was like John and Jill got pregnant with Gideon. She lost the baby.
A baby name.
Yeah, she lost the baby, and then from the right after here, like pretty quick after, he found out he had cancer, and then he tried to kill himself. And then after he didn't die, then he went after Cecil, who was the reason that he lost the baby. And it was like I can tell you like very specifically, timeline things, but there's not enough time.
Yeah, I was looking at you. Did you see my eyes saying, where he going with this?
Nowhere. It was
Like,
my tangent.
I'll let you have one.
Good.
How'd it
Thanks.
feel?
Useless.
Mines feel great. So I don't know. You got to find some better tangential
I
information.
mean, it was good information because it's relevant to what we're saying.
I suppose.
Unlike some.
I mean, hey,
We
it's
edited
related somehow.
it. No.
Anyway.
But it's very hard. And that's why I said, like, if you're not this is one of those franchises. If you're not a real like diehard with it,
You'll get
you can't
lost.
jump in like you can with Friday the 13th.
Exactly. I tried to jump my brother in actually. I tried to start in order of the way they actually happened versus the way they were released. And so
Yeah, which would be Jigsaw 1, 2, 3,
exactly.
4,
So
5, 6, 7.
we started with Jigsaw. So I thought that he was like, "Oh, this is going to be so fun." And like halfway through first of all, he like hated everyone, so he wasn't rooting for anybody. And with the needles, he was just like, ugh. But we didn't even finish it because he was just like, "This is not for me." Okay, so Frank,
Nah.
since you're the resident Saw historian,
Yep.
do you want to dive into John Kramer?
Oh, good old JC.
Come on. Is it Kramer with the K?
It is. Thanks for that.
I'm sorry.
Good old JK. Okay, so in terms of movie villains,
Yes.
right? I think that, the message of Jigsaw was one of those that was very complicated and allowed you to understand why the killer was doing what they were doing. John, yes.
Understand is a relative term.
Relate to?
Get it.
Understand. So I think that made him an icon kind of right off the bat. So by 3, he was kind of cemented as like a horror icon.
Yeah.
So for me, it's, Freddy, Jason, Michael, Leatherface, Ghostface, Jigsaw.
I don't know about that.
Why? Because Leprechaun's not in there?
Mm-mm.
Then
Well,
what?
I enjoy Leprechaun, but I acknowledge that it's not.
A joke.
I didn't say that.
I did.
I didn't. I said I acknowledge it. It's not up there.
Uh-huh.
It's so weird for me. I feel like all of those that you named are classics,
Mm-hmm.
but Saw, and not because it's not of quality, but I feel like
The time hasn't passed for it
exactly,
to be a classic.
exactly.
But really, if you look at when we were growing up from 10 to 20, we had Scream, right? As like that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, what do you really have? And it's literally just what James Wan created.
Exactly. But I'm saying they're not classics yet. They're like budding classics.
No, they're cemented. Saw is cemented 100%.
I think Saw 100% is going to go down as a classic, but I wouldn't put it with those classics. I think its classic family hasn't been born yet.
What do you mean? Who's what?
Like, because all of those names, those films that you've named, they some time span, and I feel like
Okay, but like you understand, like we started watching Friday the 13th at like the ass end of it.
exactly.
Right?
That's what I'm
And
saying. Look at how long all that time hasn't passed
so that
yet.
means, well, one, I consider it a classic, and it goes in my classic category. But also, like with our kids, they're the ones who are going to be like, this is
Calling
it,
them a classic.
because they're coming in at the tail end of it. There's a franchise that's established for them to go back to.
So then what do you think are the classics with Saw? If it's not in that first, and I know you think that it is, you don't agree with me that it's in its own new batch. But let's say, for the sake of argument, you do agree with me and it's not up there with the Nightmares and all that stuff. It's a new generation of classics. What films do you think belong? Because I agree with you that Saw is 100% a classic.
Yeah.
But what films do you think are on classic status with it?
I think from that time frame, nothing.
Exactly.
Because Saw is what led into things like Paranormal Activity.
Yep.
Which came and went. Sorry, guys.
I would never call that a classic.
Ever.
A fun time.
But not a classic.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I feel like all the major horror franchises are either reboots or, a continuation of something that's already been there, or, like I said, something that James Wan has created. So you're looking at Saw, Insidious,
I mean,
The
it's
Conjuring.
all, yeah.
Like that's all him. So
but born of this.
it is born of this, but I think also you have to look at, because horror is cyclical, right?
Yeah.
And what's popular. So right now we're in the supernatural horror phase, and I'm over it.
I'm not mad at it.
I'm mad at it.
I love a good
We've had
supernatural
enough
film.
of it. One every now and then, but like once you get to the point of doing things like The Pope's Exorcist and things like that, like you're reaching the tail end of it, and it's going to shift again to something different.
Interesting.
So
Very interesting.
I'm hoping it's the slasher because Thanksgiving was great.
I love a good slasher. I didn't see Thanksgiving.
It was like I've never seen a movie emulate.
You got it on your Vudu?
Yeah,
I'll watch it.
yeah, I got it.
Thank you.
But I've never seen a movie emulate like a 2000s slasher so well and not be lame.
I get it.
You know what I mean? Like it was really well done. They understood what they were
Mm-hmm.
and they just embraced that and it made it better. And I mean, the lead is Patrick Dempsey. So you can't go wrong there.
No, you can't. But I do want to take it back to something that you said earlier about how you don't see that any film is a good thing. Why are you giving me this face?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're saying that nothing is up there with Saw. And I think I'm going to agree with you. What you look like that?
I don't know.
Something wrong?
No.
You going through some?
Just don't know where you're going with
Your
this.
back hurt. What's up?
Sometimes.
What?
It's fine.
You need something?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering what that says about, horror. If we don't like, I kind of want to go back to the 80s when it comes to the slasher because
Oh, God.
I don't know. I just feel like where are our
That time
classics?
has come and gone, though.
But
I just gave you the classics. Saw 1 through 10. There you go.
But where are the other ones? Like where are its partners in crime? Like when you see those,
It's
horror
the shift has already started
portraits.
to happen because Blumhouse is great, right? It's a titan. It's good at
Agreed.
bringing back classic franchises, but also creating new ones like Megan.
Do you think that can become a classic?
I think it was part of the zeitgeist of the
Mhm.
time. It was very popular. Like, they had the little Megan girls
Get away from me.
everywhere just dancing around. And it became a thing because of that. So because it, and like the way it is now, it's very different because like in order to kind of be cemented in that pop culture, you have to go viral. And that's what they did with that
I
Megan
hate
dance. But they did it.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like when you look at a franchise like Saw, I feel like it holds up. I feel like 10 years from now, my kids are going to be having a sleepover and I'll be like, check this one out
Not
if you
even 10
guys are
years.
brave.
Next year. Sorry, parents.
No.
They come here to watch the Saw.
No.
Yes.
No.
At my
Anyway,
house.
10 years from now, when I put this movie, like 10 years from now, in a perfect world, when I envisioned myself as a mom, I thought that the movie that I would be playing for my kids would be Nightmare on Elm Street. But then kids ain't gonna care about this. Like,
They have a really hard time getting
yeah,
into it.
that was my sleepover.
And
It's
that's
not
because
theirs.
they didn't age well.
But I think I could put Scream on at there. I think Scream is going to be for them what Nightmare was for us.
Yeah.
So I think we could get away with Scream.
Ooh.
Or like what?
That makes us so old.
I mean, man, I saw Scream 1 in theaters.
I didn't.
Really?
No. It came out in like 90. Well, you were like 5. Why did you go see that?
Was I 5? I couldn't have been 5.
I'm pretty sure.
Look
I'll
it up.
fact check.
Look it up.
Hold on.
I don't think I was. I think I was 6 or 7.
Nah, you were. No.
I think I was 6 or 7 when
Scream
I saw
1.
it.
Let's see. 1996.
I was 7,
I was 6.
but I saw it in the
Maybe.
dollar theater, so I could have been 8.
Oh. Well, come on, Dollar Theater.
I saw a lot of good things in the dollar theater. Final Destination as well.
Oh, God.
But anyway,
That had potential.
But do you see what I'm saying? Why I feel like it's a classic? Because I was such a child, but then by the time I'm saying Saw,
Mm-hmm.
I could have strolled and been and see it on my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You couldn't have.
You don't think they would have let me in at 16?
They didn't let me in to see Jason X.
Yeah, but you looked like 5 as a
That's-
16-year-old.
True. I was like 4'11".
Exactly. So, no, you couldn't have. But I feel like I could have gone in and seen it, and no one would have said anything.
Probably not. But back then, they actually cared about checking your ID.
Wasn't nobody gonna check my stuff?
They checked mine.
They didn't. They let me take Kiki and Taylor to see Halloween.
Oh, well.
That
People-
Rob Zombie one.
That's such a good one.
We've already talked about it. I don't need to
I
rehash
know.
old feelings.
You're so bitter about it.
Let's get back to Saw, friend.
What about it? What do you want to know? Jigsaw, he kills folks.
Yeah, you were supposed to explain your good friend JC.
Well, yeah, so
To us.
his whole... Thanks for bringing me back full circle. First of all, how dare you let the JC go?
I'm sorry,
It was
I
a
can't.
simple mistake. How dare you?
Let it
Look
go.
how you're laughing, though. That sound is
I'm just
horrible.
laughing because it was just so serious the way you said it.
I was
You were
loud and
like,
wrong.
Our good friend JC, and I was like, let me look at my notes because I spelled it with a K.
Yeah, it's a K. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, so after trying to take his own life and it didn't work, he drove himself off a cliff. He didn't die. He was like, "Oh my God, the human body! It's so
Got that
great."
pole stuck in him.
In his little side. After that, he kind of had this motto or mantra of, do something with your life, respect your life, want to live,
Yes.
kind of deal. And so he would find people who were shitty people, honestly, drug addicts, thieves, rapists, murderers, everything. And he would put them in these tests to say, okay, you've done this to these people. Let's do it to you.
Yeah.
And if you get out, then your perspective will be changed.
Should be changed.
Should be changed. In people like Amanda and Hoffman and that throwaway accomplice, I can't remember his name. None of them learned that shit.
Mm-mm.
And that's why it went terribly for them. Because they just didn't get it. But anyone, I don't know.
Look at that fake man who
Which
said
one?
he survived.
Bobby Dagan.
Yes.
We're looking at you. That's in 7. We're jumping ahead.
So back to John Kramer,
Yeah.
our good friend JCK.
Yep. So what I liked about him is that, like I said, at first it was just people who were on the wrong path.
Yeah.
And then I feel like once Lee Winnell stopped writing them, it kind of became, well, let's just make it anyone who was
Wronged
ever
him.
involved in his life
Yeah.
and wronged him.
I agree.
So, like, Bobby Dagan makes sense. You're capitalizing off of his fame, whatever. I'll take it. But the rest of them,
yeah. The
like, because I just watched Jigsaw,
Mhm.
like rewatched it, and then I remember there was, oh, you killed my nephew. When did he come up?
yeah.
Who was it? A brother, a sister? Like, we have no information on like who this nephew was related to
Yeah.
outside of that's his nephew, and it was never mentioned again. It was like literally a throwaway thing in his little tape. So it literally became everything about, oh, you didn't approve my insurance.
I was just about to say that's the only one that really upset me as I was watching it. Like I get that they were, shady
Mm-hmm.
and that's awful, but all this, like
He took
this-
down the whole firm.
exactly all of this.
I remember when that movie came out, it was like all the headlines were like Jigsaw takes on the like the insurance corporations, and I was like, this has to be a damn joke. It has to be.
It was not a joke. 'Cause I don't know. It felt like we all know
Mhm.
how insurance functions. We all know, and then the unsavory ones, we all know how they function.
Yep.
And so it just, to me, it seemed like these traps were a little too extravagant.
Yeah, they were
for the
really
issue
like
that
they
occurred.
were really like playing on that he was an engineer kind of shit. But like, I don't care how many apprentices,
Come on, Apprentice Eye.
how many apprentices you have, but you're not going to build like a 40-foot
It was
oven
too
and
much.
not be noticed.
It was too much.
It was a lot.
It was too much. Is that the one with Roderick?
Who the hell's Roderick?
Roderick Rules
Oh,
from Diary of
From
a
Diary of
Wimpy Kid.
Yeah. Kill my father, motherfucker.
That's my
Yeah.
favorite
I
line.
hate that line so much.
I know.
Ugh. I'm disturbed. Um,
But that, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't. I'm getting them confused
Of
now.
course.
This the one with Megan Good, right?
No.
Megan Good didn't work for the insurance company.
No.
What did Megan
She
Good
was
do?
involved with that group that burned that house down or the building down and killed those people and then restructured and built something else.
Okay. So let me jump back to the Megan Good one then.
Okay.
I love how she was like a minor character in this film, and I'm like, the Megan Good one?
Yeah. Like she didn't.
That's how much I love Megan Good. The Megan Good film. The
But I
whole
mean,
film
I-
was
I
Megan
can't-
Good. But wait, so that we were talking about how in 2 they had to work together. If I'm not mistaken, didn't they have to work together in the Megan Good one too? But they were all so shady and couldn't do it.
Yep. It was the same thing. Like with the explosion, they just had to share the tunnels.
And Megan Good's poor death.
She kind of deserved it.
Ooh. My brother Lawrence, when we were watching, he asked me, he was like, these traps seem really extravagant. Has one ever not worked? And I told him that would be fantastic, but no, that has never happened. But you had some that were designed not to be successful. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to think of one that didn't work.
I feel like
There was one.
Oh, I think it.
Cecil's didn't work.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think there
because
was
the chair
one.
broke.
Yeah, there was actually one that did not work.
And then Cecil fell into the barbed wire, which gave John the idea to do that guy in the first one.
Yeah, and then what's his face? He like beat his, and so like his Venus flytrap only like partially opened.
It's the reverse bear trap.
Oh, my bad.
And it's Hoffman.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm trying to use your terminology here.
It's not my terminology.
You know, you're the resident Saw expert, and I'm just
the most famous trap of
fan.
the entire franchise is the reverse bear trap. And that was the first time when Hoffman got it put on him that it would... Excuse you.
My sincerest apologies, good sir.
I'm going to put you in a trap.
If you were going to design a trap, what would your trap be? I have mine.
You tell yours because I struggle with mine.
Okay, so my trap is going to be cool, y'all. So first of all, you know how we talked about later in the series, it became people who wronged John.
Yeah.
JCK. People who have wronged him that he would find. So when I was thinking of like, what kind of trap would I design?
Yeah.
I thought about people who've wronged me.
Yep.
And nobody wrongs me more than people who don't know how to drive on the freeway.
Right.
Or just in general. You know, I'm driving like a normal person and they're doing illegal things because they just think wherever they're going is so much more important than where I'm going.
Yeah.
So I designed a trap for you, person out there.
Okay.
And so this is what's going to happen. First of all, it has to be one of those like monster trucks that are kind of high off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to have to like mess your hands up somehow. So we got to have you blistered up, maybe some cuts, all that stuff. Then you got to hang on underneath that truck.
Under the monster truck.
As we go 15 miles on the freeway. Mm-hmm. Good luck. So that's my trap.
Wow. That's aggressive. I don't know.
I mean, if you survive that.
I mean, if you survive it, yeah.
You deserve it.
I don't know. I feel like.
If you don't, you deserve it.
I mean, you should have drove better. I'm not mad at this.
You want to be reckless in your car? We can get real reckless.
Right. I think I would do it to... I love that we've just chosen a victim.
Yeah.
I would do it to the people who, like, monopolize on food and make a whole bunch of money off of that and don't make it easily accessible to people.
Interesting. What you gonna do with the food?
Well, in order for them to survive, they would have to peel one of their limbs. Like with a potato peeler. And then that's how they'd get out.
And so it has to be like is it like a poundage?
Yep,
like
they'd have to weigh.
Once you get like
kind of like in 6 when they cut off the arm. But
pound,
like
the pound of flesh one, yeah.
Yeah, but this one, they have to peel the whole limb.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me, the pound of flesh trap. Can we talk about how, again, why this franchise is a classic? Is because it spawned a reality show. I don't know if people know that.
Oh my God, it was like the greatest show of all time.
Scream Queens.
Scream Queens was so good. Not the one on Fox with Keke Palmer. There was one was on MTV.
And it was a reality show.
It was a reality competition show, and they would take amateur actors or actresses, they were all women, and whoever won the show got to do like a guest starring role. So Tanidra in 6, she was
won,
the opening.
Yeah.
She won. The girl in 7 who got smushed by the car, she won season 2. Shawnee Smith, James Gunn, like they had like good hosts for it. It was a good time.
It was a fantastic time. Like I kind of wish it was still around. I used to tune in every week because for me this was my show. You know, you have the girls who are really into fashion. They had Top Model. The people who know how to cook, they got their little cooking shows. But like, this is Scream Queens.
Yeah,
this is me.
And it was cool because they set up different sets for them every time.
It looked so fun. I wanted to go on
that show. They did stunts. Like it was really cool.
It was a fantastic show.
I don't know why they stopped. Well, that was 7. It was supposed to be over. That's why they stopped. Never mind.
I mean, but it's back now.
Yeah, I mean, they all do
Let's
that.
bring it back.
Every real franchise in horror has
always
a final
comes
chapter.
Back. Yeah, there's
and then comes back.
That's true. They all do have a final chapter, or so-and-so's dead.
Friday the 13th has 2 final chapters.
No.
Yeah, part 4 is the final chapter, and then 9, Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday.
Okay, so that's different. I thought you meant they were physically both called final chapter.
Well, it's final chapter and the final Friday. Like
that's different. That was the final chapter.
Girl, it's the end. It's supposed to be the end.
No, it didn't say the end.
So what, he's coming back on Saturday?
It said we stop in the we're stopping the final chapter. That's what they meant. Like, this is the end. This is the start of the final chapter. I meant. That's what final
What?
chapter meant. Yeah.
Huh?
That's how you have to look at it. Like, final chapter. Like, this is the start of these next movies. That's going to be the final chapter.
The fuck?
This is page 1 of the final chapter.
No.
Do you read books? That's how it works. Like, the chapter don't just end. There's a page that starts the final chapter.
The prologue? Like, what you talking about? The final chapter is the final chapter. Nothing is supposed to come after.
I don't know if you know how a book works.
I know how a book works.
But a chapter is usually multiple pages. It's not just the one page.
So you're saying each movie is a different page in the chapter.
Correct.
What you're saying is dumb.
How is it done?
Because if you're going to do multiple parts of the final chapter, then Mockingjay Part 1.
No, they're not
Mockingjay
multiple
Part 2,
parts of
Deathly
the final
Hallows
chapter.
Part 1, Deathly Hallows Part 2, because then it covers multiple pages in the chapter. No movie is one page. So you're telling me when they adapt a Stephen King book, they say, we're going to do this one page, and then the next movie is going to be the second page.
No, they didn't, but Friday did.
We would have 1,000 fucking
They
pages.
didn't, but Friday did. You trying to use another franchise to explain another franchise. Like, they're
What
two
you're
different
saying is
franchises.
irrelevant to Predator.
It was the first part
Somebody
of
help
the
me.
final chapter. Like, I don't see what's so hard
It
to
doesn't say
understand.
final chapter Part 1. That's what I'm not understanding.
It doesn't have to.
It does.
I mean, I just want to say that the way I'm trolling you right now is so great because you are getting so worked up.
I'm done.
And I understand that it's the final chapter, friend. I'm just trying to explain it after the fact, as to why it makes
I'm
sense.
heated now. I'm not even hearing what you're saying at this point. I'm done.
I love it.
You gotta go. It's
Y'all
fine.
see how worked up he got?
It's fine. Let's rate the
He
five.
was so serious.
Let's rate the first 5
This
movies.
is the greatest day of my life.
Move along. Saw 1. How would you rate it?
Okay, Saw 1. I'm going to give it 5 stabs. Oh, no.
You
Sorry.
killed
0 stabs.
We got our own rating system. Anyways, for people who are just tuning in or don't remember, our rating system is 0 to 5 stabs. 5 stabs meaning that your movie was absolutely
dead.
terrible. It's dead. It didn't make it. And 0 stabs is it's alive. It's giving us life. It did what it needed to. So Saw 1, you gave 0
stabs.
I'm going to give it 1 stab.
Why did it get stabbed?
Because like when you watch it now, it is pretty slow.
But only in comparison to the other ones. Like I was saying earlier. Remember when
But
you
as
attacked
you
me?
have to look at it as a collective, and that's a pretty slow one. So 1 stab out of 5 isn't bad. Don't come for me for my rating.
All right.
I'm still mad.
I thought we had moved on.
Well,
from
I
this.
won't move on.
Would you like me to apologize?
I'm a Cancer. I'm going to hold on to this for life.
And I'm a Capricorn. I've already moved on.
Exactly.
Because I won.
Saw 2. How would you rate it?
Saw 2, I'm also giving 0 stabs.
I'll agree with that one.
Perfect film.
Really good.
Perfect film.
It was just constructed so well. And that comes, I think that it has so much to do with the editing. Because if it wasn't edited correctly,
And
nothing
everything.
would flow.
Like the cinematography was also really great.
Uh,
The sound design is always
sounded-
great.
So, yes and no.
What? Who are you? Like,
What?
why are you coming with this negative energy?
It's not negative
We just said
energy
we just gave
because,
this
like,
movie 0 stabs.
Okay, yeah, but I can
Your
also
attitude isn't giving 0 stabs.
move along. Saw 3.
I mean, again, 0 stabs.
You can't 0 them all. They're not perfect.
The stabs are coming.
Okay, I'll give Saw 3 2 stabs.
2?
Possibly 3.
What? Why?
Because Amanda died. It's a personal preference.
The 0 stabs stands.
No, it doesn't.
That's fine.
Okay, Saw 4. First of all,
Is this the
no,
Megan Good one?
let-
Is it the Megan
no,
Good one? She's
5
in 5.
is the Megan Good one. It's the special agent.
It's when the hands.
Strom.
He breaks his hands in the thing, right?
Who?
Strom. He's trying to like survive that smushy.
That's at the very end of 5. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
He has 2 traps in that movie.
I'll give
The
that
water
one.
box and
I'll
the
give that one
smash
3
room.
stabs because I didn't like him.
I'll give that one 4.5 stabs.
Yeah.
It's my least favorite.
Agreed.
But we skipped to 5 and didn't do 4. So
Wait, what?
you jumped to Megan Good.
No, I went back from Megan Good just now to
No,
do
the
Strom.
one where he gets smushed is 5 with Megan Good.
What?
You gotta go.
I told you because it's the timelines. They're
Nah,
technically
girl.
happening.
You should like 4 the best because that was the first time that Hoffman was a main character.
I think earlier I did say I liked 4 best.
Remember,
But that part of the
was,
franchise gets confusing for me because of the timeline.
It was Rig. The black guy was the main character in that one.
Is it the one with the ice?
That's 3. Which one with ice? There's the one where the girl got frozen.
Sure, yes,
That's
one.
3.
No, the one with the block. Where he's standing on a block of ice.
That's 4.
Yes, that's 4. I'm sorry, it was getting intense. No, when Donnie Wahlberg is standing on the block of ice.
That's 4.
That's 4 with the pervert pedophile man, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that one. I'm gonna rescore that and give it 2.
Score it to begin with.
Well, my 3 was I thought I was scoring that movie.
Ah.
Yes, so I'm actually gonna revise that to a 2.5.
Yeah, I'll give that one a 1 stab. I really like 4. It's one of my favorites.
I loved the lesson there too. You can't save everybody, and you have to let people save themselves. Like you
he
have
just didn't
to.
get it.
He didn't
listen to the whole movie.
Mm-mm.
That made me mad. Anyways, 5 stabs.
It's the Megan Good one.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give it 4 stabs, and it only didn't get 5 because Megan Good is in it.
I mean, okay, I'll agree. I'll give it 4
Yeah.
because of Megan.
Yeah,
Great job, Megan.
yeah, you saved it, Megan,
You saved it.
because it was almost murdered to death.
God. Okay.
I'm feeling silly.
Clearly. Well, you be
Still
silly.
on a high from trolling you.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. This has been just so fun.
It's been really great going down memory lane about that time where Frank bought that girl on our date.
This is not a good episode for me.
Great.
But
start
anyways,
to our relationship.
Anyways,
where we're now divorced.
Anyway, I hate you. Okay, so
So you're getting serious.
yeah.
A serious face.
Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. This is Live or Die. Special shout out to KeyTV for getting us here, and don't forget to tune in next week.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.